welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Mel and the Nostalgic Runner. And we are back again for another Real Housewives of Salt Lake City review. And this is season 4. This is episode 19. And this is the reunion part 3. Child. That part 3 was a hot mess. It was definitely a Monica takedown. It was a Monica takedown. I know a lot of people had predictions wondering if Mary was going to be there to have her back, and since Mary was front of the show, she couldn't be on the stage. So like she was there for a little bit during the fun pieces, and then they sashay her out of there. So Monica was on her own on that. And one thing that stuck out to me, and Lisa kept saying, but she's not really wrong about it, Monica's not a good arguer. Like, the fact that Lisa ate you up, that's all you need to know. That's telling right there. Because Lisa is not the best arguer either. So it is kind of ironic that the person who's not a good arguer is eating you up. But that tells you how bad of an arguer Monica is. She's not good at arguing. She mainly just reacts and yells. Like, to me, it's wild that it's kind of like if you're someone who follows like video games or like story arcs of like heroes and villains and whatnot. I'm going to paint the picture for you. So I'll go into detail what happened in a little bit because this is not going to be that long a review because it was pretty straightforward and to the point. But they did need that 3-part. They definitely needed the 3-part. Is giving. Okay, I'm gonna give you one. This is about to like share my inner nerdiness. So, who out there plays Street Fighter? The Street Fighter games. Okay, I just want to make sure. So, the story arc of Chun-Li. You know, she has gotten. So the main antagonist in a lot of the games, not so much anymore. Now it's just an organization versus the actual said person. The story arc for the Street Fighter games is that M. Bison in the United States, I think he's called something else in Japan, but they had to. I'm not going to get into all that. So I'm talking about the game, the U.S. version of the game. So let's just eliminate all that. M. Bison is the main antagonizer, or the bad guy. I'm not going to say antagonizer or protagonizer because I get confused which one means what, so we're not going to do all that. Sorry, long day at work. I just got off work. But M. Bison's the bad guy, the main bad guy in most of these games. And Chun-Li is one of the many heroes, but she gets highlighted quite a bit because, for one of the main reasons is she's the first woman fighter in a video game. Prior to that, it was always like Princess Peach getting rescued, a man rescuing her, and Chun-Li was just not that. She was, iconic, can get with you. That's who Chun-Li is. But the main reason why her story is interesting is she had a personal issue with M. Bison because he is who killed her father. M. Bison is the one who killed her father. So she went she doubled down on the heroic side and joined the police force in China, and her mission pretty much is to take down the organization he's part of, and mainly him, but also the organization he's part of. So even though he's no longer around per se, that organization is still a thing. So she still makes it a point to be in all the games to take this organization down because that's her mission. So it's not just about her personal vendetta. She's doing things for the greater good. You can argue a little bit that the way they painted the picture with Heather, she's kind of both Chun-Li and the other character, but Monica is definitely the other character. And the other character is Jurek. Jurek literally has a similar backstory, and she got introduced in the later games Jury. I think her name's Jury or Jurek. I forgot her actual name. I'll put the picture there. But she is literally has a similar backstory of Chung Lee, that M. Bison killed her family. I think it was also her family too. I don't think it was her. Yeah, it was her dad. Same thing. Straight and narrow, literally similar story arc, almost identical. But the difference is she infiltrated that. She decided to go the villainous route and infiltrated his organization, got enhancements from his organization, and then did everything in her power to destroy him and the organization itself. But she did it in a way where she didn't care who she took down to do it. She basically partaked in the crimes, did all the bad stuff with them. Like, she basically went all in on the other side, to the point where you can argue that if she doesn't be careful, she's basically going to be replacing the person she hates the most. And that's the irony. And to me, that's how I parallel Monica, because she hated Jen Shaw so much, but you pretty much look like you became her. Completely. To the T. And I feel like the story arc of what they were trying to tell us this whole reunion. That was a story to me. That was literally the picture they painted. Even though Heather's path was questionable too, none of them were right in the path. And I'll get into why I came up with that parallel in a little bit. So the reunion continues off where they're showing kind of like a game segment of how much the game started off good with these Real Housewives shows, particularly this franchise, and always goes left. So they show Lisa throwing a temper tantrum because she doesn't want to remove her makeup to go into drag, because they had a drag contest. She didn't want to do it. She threw a whole entire temper tantrum, and that happened during the season. They also show the Pioneer brunch that they had, kind of celebrating Mormon culture. It's the show. I personally don't get it, but I get it. Okay, I guess. I don't really get it. But anyway, they had a Pioneer brunch, and so they had this thing of who they would throw off the wagon. Basically, think Oregon Trail, and who do you choose to get dysentery? And that's where basically Lisa said Monica, because Lisa and Monica were feuding the whole entire season. And then they also show the whole entire time while this is happening in the scene that they're going back to, because it was a Pioneer brunch, everyone else stopped churning the butter, because that was one of the activities they were supposed to do. Meredith committed to it and churned that butter, and she ended up making her some butter. So the whole entire time while all this conflict is happening, this is Meredith. So the bouncing trampoline comment that the trampoline eyes that Heather said, not Heather, but Angie K said about Meredith, that scene actually made sense. But I think they were even whispering while all this was happening. I think they even mentioned it when they were whispering and watching the recap. And then throughout all this whole entire recap, Monica and Lisa, mainly Lisa, will not keep. She's keeping her foot on Monica's neck, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, because I've never seen Lisa this vicious. And I mean, kind of like just like that with that kind of vitriol. Like I'm used to like Lisa not shutting up, but this is different. It's giving a different kind of energy. The whole entire reunion, by the way, this reunion especially. This was Lisa's time to shine. This reunion, Lisa and Heather, they were the big winners of the reunion for this particular portion. So I would say part one was Monica. Part 2 was depending on what side of the fence. Well, no, part 1 was like a toss up between Monica and Angie. I would kind of give it to Angie because Angie can just argue better. And then part 2 was Mary just being Mary. And then Angie kind of ate her up in the second part. And then this part was Lisa and it was Lisa and Heather. Yeah. But anyway, so after they do the recap, they show that Meredith actually took that butter that she made to multiple restaurants to actually put the butter on the food. That was cute and kind of funny. And then Lisa's discussing how she just always has glam on her, and I call Cap. Cappity Cap. I don't believe you always got glam on you. And she says she's one and done. She always has glam on her, and it started in 2019, and she'll never stop. And then Mary just kind of called her out, like, girls give it insecure. And she's like, no, it's not. And because she does argue this, and I don't know if I believe her or not, but Angie did chime in and said, no, she actually literally can't see, so she can't see to put makeup on. So I'm like, oh. And so Mary kind of like let it go. She's like, okay, if you really can't literally see you putting your face together, then that makes sense you would have glam. Whether I believe that or not, that's a whole other thing, but not that important. And then they go on throughout this first segment. So this was kind of the lightest part of the segment of the whole entire reunion, but that makes sense because Mary is still there. Once Mary's no longer there, the mess really gets resumed. But so then they go from there to Andy ask about Lisa Barlow's ask Monica about her Lisa Barlow impression, and Lisa just will not let her talk at all. She just will not. She just keeps attacking. But Monica's like, it's not that hard. Your voice is pretty easy to do. I don't know if I agree with that because I don't think I could do Lisa Barlow's voice. Like, oh my God, I love it. Okay, maybe I can't do Lisa Barlow. But anyway, so they showed that, and they go from that to Meredith doing her Whitney impression. I can't do that.
Yeah, maybe I can do that a little bit because she talks a little nasally and she talks a little bit like this, and this is how she talks. Kind of like a baby voice. That's how she talks.
That's my impression of Whitney. And so Whitney was surprised because then Mary also chimed in into her impression of Whitney. That probably sounded more like Mary impression of Whitney versus actual Whitney. But Whitney was like, do I really sound like that?
And she's like, I think you do.
So it was cute. And then they show Angie kind of do it. So Angie does an impression of Meredith. She's like, the rumors and like, do you want me to talk about your husband? The rumors. So it goes into that a little bit too. Maybe I should be a voice actress. Thoughts? Anyway, so they kind of go into that too. And then they also, while Mary's still there, Heather and Mary clear the air regarding Mary's comments about Heather's Gucci corset she was wearing on Watch What Happens Live. So, in one of the confessionals, Heather was wearing a Gucci corset. And then in Watch What Happens Live, Mary made a comment that I don't think that is real. But a lot of people took it as in Mary body shaming her. I didn't take it that way. I think she was saying that her Gucci is fake. I don't think she was body shaming her. Because a lot of your luxury brands do not carry large sizes. And when I mean large sizes, I'm not even talking about like realistically. So a lot of luxury brands don't carry like regular people sizes. So basically, I probably might have issues getting something from Gucci because I'm considered a plus size girl, even though the most of the United States, I'm probably smaller than most people in the United States, but I would be considered a plus size girl. So I would maybe have to either get something customed or something like that, and maybe Heather did. But that was literally Mary's point. She wasn't trying to shade her and say like she's like fat, too big for that. She was basically saying, hey, it's a major brand, and a lot of these luxury brands make sizes for women who are petite. Not like model samples. So for example, like in the Real Housewives of Rolla. I'm never gonna say Real. I'm gonna stop saying Real Housewives of Atlanta because I get stumbled every time I try to say it. But anyway, there was a comment last season where Marlo was saying that Sonia probably just brought like the actual sample size for when she went and got her outfit, a Gucci outfit, because Sonia Richards-Ross is an ex-track star, but like always a naturally thinner built, athletically built, but thinner built track star, where she pretty much kind of has like that kind of a model-esque figure. She could probably buy it just from the store versus just like having to get accustomed. So sorry, maybe I'm caping a little bit too much for Mary, but she did end up complimenting Heather at the end of the segment, so I think they're good to go. And then to clear things up, Mary and Whitney clear things up as well, because Andy does ask, hey, how do you feel about, your future with this group? And she's like, I am open to it. I want to try again. She had nothing but positive things to say. I would say this was a reunion where Mary had a good showing. She was kind of on her PR. This was probably the most politically correct Mary you're ever going to get. And so, yeah, she did all right for this reunion, and they dismissed her. That's pretty much that on that. All right, the next, we have the whole entire next segment is the Greek mafia situation that Monica brought to the camera, and pretty much everything that was Bermuda that was a mess. So, Angie. So then from here, this is where it went. This is where I feel like Monica wish she just could disappear. From this point on, KO'd. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, this was just like, it's so disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. This third part was so disappointing, because for you to come off so hot and strong throughout the season, and for you to be a complete flop during this, especially the third part of this reunion, I was like, ooh, how dreadful. How dreadful. It was just giving that. So, but yeah, Heather proceeds to expose Monica when it comes, because they're talking, they're going back in that. So they're talking about Heather exposing Monica about her being, reality Bontees. And then Andy does ask Monica about the page. After they go into the recap of showing all the Bermuda stuff. And Heather finally speaks up about the page and in general. And I say in general because I told you the whole entire reunion, part 1 and 2, Heather wasn't saying much. She was just kind of there, giving a very somber type of feel. She was, I don't know. Heather was just kind of, I still have some thoughts, and I'll get to it in a little bit about how I feel about Heather. Because, I don't know. I can't trust you either all the way. Like, again, to me, Heather was a little bit of both Chung-Lee and Jurek when it came to her logic, but Monica just went all in on the Jurek side. Both had right reasons to have feelings of negativity towards one person, but the difference is, I feel like, Monica, you turn to that person that you had negative feelings about. That's the difference. So anyway, but yeah, ends up Monica and Heather are going back and forth. This out of nowhere is where Monica pulls out that burn book, that prop that we saw as a preview. And when I say a burn book, it literally was giving the Mean Girls burn book from like high school. And she thought, and the thing is, and yeah, this is where Heather ended up reading her for filth after this. So we see the pictures of what's in it. And it's like, but you're an adult with kids. Why do you have this kind of much energy and time to put together a burn book when you are an adult with kids? It's weird. It's giving weirdo energy. So that was the other thing that was happening here. And so Heather basically says, like, so as this is happening, Lisa enters a chat, like she tags in. She's like, tag me and Heather. So she got tagged in. Because, I mean, this was a handicap match. I promise you that. And Lisa exposes Monica for stalking Jen Shaw via security cams. So she installed the security cams that are in Jen Shaw's home before she was away and all that. And it was in Monica's name. And so she was stalking her that way. And the reason why this got exposed and how it got exposed is because one of the things, when they showed an argument earlier on that Lisa and Monica had, so Monica exposed something that was never said like in public. It was said at Jen Shaw's house. And she's like, the only way you would know this is if you saw a security camera from Jen Shaw's house. So this was like not part of the show, nothing like that. And so that's how Lisa figured it out. And then she also accused her of stalking Jen Shaw, which Monica tried to defend herself. And no, you were stalking her. But she tried to chalk it off and say that she was doing this for the FBI and that she wanted to expose her drinking and driving. Like, none of it made sense. And all the ladies are basically laughing at her at this point. It's just a hot mess. And Whitney and Meredith the whole entire time are just laughing and eating this up because they have nothing to do with any of this, but their facial expressions and just laughing at her while they're sitting right next to her. Yikes. It was a flop. It was bad. It was bad. It was bad. And so after that, then Heather went on this monologue. And the monologue, at first, she was eating. She was giving what needed to be gave. Especially when she called her out about that burn book. She's like, girl, I know you thought you ate with that burn book, but it just shows me how immature, how this, that, and the other. Like, she ate her alive when it came to that burn book. Because it's just like, it was an easy read. It was right there. Like, why do you have a burn book and you're a grown woman? But then Heather went into this other, which she should have just stopped while she was ahead, but she kept going. And unpopular opinion, and this is how I kind of feel about Heather as a whole, she gives Karen energy a lot. And towards the end, she kind of was giving Karen energy because she basically said that this Reality Von Teese page made it where it was so bad that it ruined her experience as being a housewife and ruined her life. And I'm sorry, and I get cyberbullying is real. I'm not gonna even say that that's not real. But that's one of the things that Andy said that he warns the ladies about when they decide to do these shows. That's part of the deal, right? And it sucks as part of the deal, but it is. But it's so you're gonna blame her in this one page for any other cyberbullying you've had, because that was not. I promise you, it wasn't the only place, the only bullying you probably were experiencing. Because you're on a reality TV show, there was probably multiple pages like that were doing that to you and to anyone, everyone on TV. Because jealousy is a disease and people can catch it easily. So that is when I was like, girl, now you're giving Karen. I was with you until you just kept going on that monologue. So yeah. And then it just kind of became even worse for Monica, because then she tried to say that production knew. Now when you bring production into it, now you're saying, now you're basically putting in Andy Cohen. You're tagging him in. So now Andy had to like get her together. Like, girl, no. You're not gonna say it about my team. So yeah, Monica by herself in this whole entire like third part of the reunion. It was a hot mess. Okay, so where we left off with this, and basically Monica is getting eaten alive, and all the ladies are literally on the couch cracking up, and she's calling them all like a-holes, that they're mean girls, this, that, and this, and Andy had one of the best points that he could have said before. Basically, this happened right before Heather did her whole entire monologue, where he's like, "What? I'm surprised you're surprised that the ladies will react the way that they did. That why are you surprised by that?" And she just still is just in her world of delusion of not understanding why the ladies would be this upset. And I kind of agree. No, I don't agree. I'm sorry. Because in real life, I wouldn't want to mess with her ever again either. But at the same time, I also am someone who just doesn't take social media that seriously, like at all. To a certain extent, I'm just kind of like, whatever. But what I will say is that the other thing is that Heather even said this, and even Lisa said this. They were like, if you would have led with "this is who you are," it would have shown that you have remorse and you really do want to get to know us. It seems like all you wanted was to get on this show and you didn't care how or whatever. Like, you're still like kind of like an infiltrate. You're still infiltrating. Like, you're basically infiltrating the place that put Jen Shaw on. And Jen Shaw is basically in Bison here in this. See where I got the parallel at? But anyway. So, outside of that, they do briefly discuss the Monica and Angie alluding to her being in the Greek mafia. And Monica is still trying to put this rumor on Meredith. And Meredith she's not taking the bait. And the sad thing is, whether Meredith did it or not, because Monica just did too many things that were not forgiving, and she's been caught in lies so much, Monica's no longer credible. And Meredith, to a certain extent, knows that. So even if Meredith did it, if I was Meredith and I did that, I wouldn't admit it. I would just let Monica eat that. Because the whole conversation that Monica and Meredith had was off. It was off camera. It was like, prior to the show. So there's that. And then everyone just starts yelling. Because it ended up being Monica, Angie, and Lisa. Lisa will not take her foot off of Monica's neck. She's not letting it breathe at all. Versus Monica. And it's to the point where it's just so much yelling, so much back and forth that Andy is over it. He's so over it. He's so done. And so they go on. He basically stops them. And then we have a break. And then when we come back from that break, we do finally get into the hair the haircut. Wow, wrong show. Heather and Black Eye segment, and we do end up seeing some unseen footage, and I think actually Heather actually is telling the truth, because we already knew that. Well, and the reason why we think she's telling the truth, and I let's be real, when that first happened in season 3, I thought it was Jen Shaw the whole time. You can't tell me y'all didn't think that. So this ends up being basically an apology tour for Heather, though, because Heather ended up blaming everyone at some point in time. Which kind of made her look horrible. And she explained why she did that. And she was like, I literally just felt I was scared of retaliation, so I just didn't do it. I just covered it up the whole entire time. And now I'm just not going to do that anymore. And so she presents this parallel of how Jen is. And basically when she sees Monica, she sees Jen Shaw all over again. And so that's why she's just not willing to forgive her. She's like, you literally are you're Jen Shaw. But this is where you got to think of it in multiple ways when she says that. Who was the star of the show seasons 1 through 3? Jen Shaw. Who was the star of this season? Monica. So Heather probably isn't going to see it for her for multiple reasons. From a show standpoint of, I don't want you to be the queen bee of this show. I want to be her. Because we got to remember, no matter what, this is still a show. And if you're the one who is a center peach or center whatever, I think there's snowflakes over here. Snowflakes, that means something. So you kind of are competing against your friends. And that's the other thing that why I feel a way about Heather, because she keeps trying to force upon us this idea that they're all friends in real life. Child, y'all are all co-workers in real life that get along well. I'm going to need you to retire. Okay, one thing I'm not going to take with me in 2024, the misuse of the word friendships and friends. Y'all are co-workers that work together and y'all all get along. And y'all bonded over a common enemy because y'all didn't see it for her because it went from the Jen Shaw show to the Monica show and y'all didn't like it. I'm sorry. I'm going to call a thing. That is part of the reason why they have their problems. Mind you, I mean, Monica literally was turning in Jen Shaw, not the right reasons. Okay? But in Monica's defense to a certain degree, and I feel like none of the ladies really ever did answer this, and I really wish we just had a better host that can facilitate more and be a little bit stern when they're going back and forth and say, y'all shut up real quick. I have a question and I need the deflection to stop when you answer this. What Monica did, that's worse than what Jen Shaw did? Because Monica kept trying to ask it, but it's like, girl, you need to sit this one out. You are the right message, way wrong messenger. You can't be coming in as like with some dirt like that, being dirty like that, kind of being creepy, and then asking a valid question. Your credibility is shot, so they're not even going to listen to you or see it for you. It would be better if it comes from someone who really truly has kind of clean hands asking that question. But because your hands are equally as dirty, it's not equally as dirty, but they're pretty dirty, and you were working with her, the lady that you were trying to persecute, no one knows what all you did working with her. Did you also help commit crimes too? So see, it's the wrong messenger. So it's either way, it's just kind of lost. And I just wish we would have gotten an answer on that. And long story less long though, the way the reunion ended. Oh, before that, Heather ends up apologizing to everyone for lying. Because she did at one point in time, production got accused of doing that to her, which guess what? That caused lawyers to be involved. It was a huge problem. So Andy's actually pretty upset with Heather too. Like, actually. Because she's like, you could have brought this whole entire franchise down because of your complacency. Because what Heather's issue is, and this is why I say she's both Chung-Li and Zurich, is, yeah, you internalized, but you also lied and made multiple different versions of the story of who gave you that black eye, where you created liability issues, you created lawyers being involved, you created a whole bunch of other things because you wouldn't just say either the person did it to you or just keep it on mute. You started playing around too much with saying this person did this or this happened. When you start doing all that, that's when your credibility got messed up. If you would have just stayed quiet, like you really were, like, feeling the way you feel, which I do believe she really was doing, like a trauma response, because no one pictures going to work and getting touched. No one pictures that, especially in her case, because I think part of Heather's twisted mind, she really does think this show is a show about friendships. And it kind of is to a certain degree. It's more of a show about friendly ships. Not friendships. Friendly ships. That would be the better word. Friendly ships. Because the way most Real Housewives cast members have acted towards each other in these shows, I wouldn't be friends with any of these people. I'll be Karen. I'll keep the peace, do my job well, but then you wouldn't see me outside the show at all. Like Karen Huger from like Real Housewives of Potomac, I would be her. Y'all wouldn't hang out with me outside this at all. Like, that's why I call it friendly ship. But anyway, so she's up apologizing to everyone. And then Andy does a great job, though, of tying it back. Like, the common denominator is one person has y'all acting not like yourselves. You took one approach, she took the other approach. Is there room for forgiveness? And a long story less long with the rest of the ladies, including Heather, it's a no. But I think time needs to pass, and then Heather even said it herself, and I agree. I think I even said it before earlier on when I was talking. If Monica would have had some ounce of remorse, I think it would have been forgiven. But the problem is she hasn't had a sense of remorse when it comes to anything she did. She's so cavalier about how she acted and is still acting. And that's the problem. And I think if she would have, really showed a sense of remorse, there would have been room for her. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen with this show because they're talking back and forth. Like, there's been rumors she's gotten fired, and now they're saying that's not true. I don't know, but I don't think it's help that Monica, as soon as you start putting the blame where Andy is directly involved in that blame, that's where you mess it all up. You're too new for that. You can't be that big. You can't do that. Even the veteran housewives have lost their jobs from doing something like that. You can't do that. But basically, they ended the reunion. Well, before they ended the reunion, Andy asked Monica, okay, the floor is yours. What is your thoughts and everything? Especially with what she said, what Heather said about what happened to her. Again, she feels bad for Heather, but the remorse is gone. Like, just emotionless. And is giving unhinged. Great for TV, but child, not in real life. And unhinged. And she had nothing to say towards the end when she finally had the floor being hers, and she could have said something uninterrupted, mind you, because Andy was finally over Lisa constant interruptions. But she had nothing to say, and it pretty much ended where they did do a toast at the end, but I don't know. It's interesting. I do feel for Heather because I do think her story now that she finally told us what the black guy is real. It's just how she handled that. And I don't know how else. I don't want to victim blame her because if the shoe was on my foot, I don't know how I would handle that either because I couldn't imagine being touched by a coworker. Other than my only reaction I would think is, well, now I'm going to leave this being worse off than you. I mean, not in that way. I mean, like, I'll be worse off than you because I'll probably end up in jail if someone wants to do that to me. You don't get to touch me and not get touched back. But I'm petty like that. I'm also maybe I got some growing to do. Pray for me, y'all. Pray for me. But anyway, that does conclude the review. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. Oh, but before I go into this, overall, how I felt about the reunion. The reunion was really good. I do have a lot of questions related to how the next season is going to look. I think I am going to start reviewing next season. So when it comes on next season, I think I will review it. There's talks about other Housewives coming on to Fray for that franchise also. But yeah, that does conclude everything. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. If you get anything out of the content, it's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.